Hello everyone, my name is Masha, and today I'm going to be showing you all of the bracelets that I made in January, and I will also be announcing the February challenge of the month. So, I actually spent most of this month in Russia, which happens to be the reason why this video is late. So there won't be a vote like we usually do for the challenge of the month. I will just be announcing the patterns that I have chosen myself. Stick around until the end of the video for those. But for now, let's talk about all the bracelets that I made in January. This month I didn't make as many bracelets as usual. Usually my number is around 10 to 15 bracelets per month, which can seem like quite a lot, but I do run a channel about bracelets, and so I happen to dedicate a lot of time to them. But this month I only managed to make 7. Now 3 of these are part of the Harry Potter competition that I recently ran. I made 4 bracelets for the Harry Potter competition, 1 for each of the Hogwarts houses, but one of them I made last month, hence 3 for this month. I've already sent those out to the winners, so I don't actually have them physically to show you here, but I'll insert clips from the previous months. Now last month I made Hufflepuff, however this month I went in and made all of the other houses, starting with Slytherin, which I had a pretty great time making. Out of all of them, I think Slytherin is the one that turned out the least wonky. As you may know, I do have some troubles with alphas, but Slytherin turned out pretty good. I then made Gryffindor, which turned out a little bit wider and a little bit longer than I had expected, and I think that's to do with the brand of string that I used, but still I think it turned out quite well. And then last but not least, I made Ravenclaw, which is actually my Hogwarts house. And this one also does have some errors in it. There are some places where the colors bleed through, there are some places where it's a little bit inconsistent, where it's a little bit wider or a bit narrower, but overall I am quite happy with all of these bracelets. And I made videos for each of these bracelets. Every single one of the bracelets for the Hogwarts competition has its own Not With Me video where I speed knot the bracelet in front of you and just talk about the bracelet and pretty much Harry Potter in those videos. I'll leave those linked in the description if you want to check them out. Now let's look at the bracelets that I actually physically have with me. And I think we're going to go in chronological order. There's not a lot of them here, but let's do that. So starting with this one, I really love this pattern. I think it is super cute. And this is the bracelet that I did for the video where I talk about how to double and halve patterns. There is also this bracelet, which is the doubled version of this pattern. However, as you can see, I haven't finished it yet, so it's not really included in this. Also, you can see that there's a slight variation in the colors. That's because I ran out of the brown. I guess you could also call it orange. Some of you guys get really annoyed when I don't call colors the way that you see them. It looks like a sort of light brown to me. In any case, I'm really happy with this bracelet. I think it turned out really cool. I'm also loving how the second one is turning out with the one which is doubled. I also used that one for the tutorial on how to make double loops for a bracelet. I'll also link that in the description if you want to. And I think I'm going to be sending this one to my grandmother because she really seemed to like it when I showed her. I think it's very much in her style. She also really likes sort of light brown colors, so I think I might send this to her. Alright, next up I've got this bracelet. Now this bracelet you might recognize as the challenge of the month from last month. This is the pattern that we all made together. And I must say I had a really fun time making this. I added crimp ends to the top and to the bottom because I couldn't figure out how I wanted to start or finish this bracelet. So I decided to just go with that and start in a horizontal line going down. And as you can see, the design only starts a little bit into the bracelet from either side. That's because I did a couple of knots of just black on either side so that I could make sure that the crimps won't be going over the actual design. And the design is centered. I also have a tutorial on how to do crimp ends. If you want to see that, as with everything, including the patterns, everything is linked in the description. So with this bracelet, because it sort of zigzags, I did have a bit of trouble keeping it straight, even though I did use the straight edges technique. And I think that with some patterns, that just happens. You can't really avoid it, especially with ones that zigzag and aren't really that symmetrical. It can be really challenging to keep them straight. So you can see that it sort of goes a little bit in here, out there. It does sort of zigzag. It might not be that visible on camera, but in real life, when you look at it, you can definitely see that it sort of bumps around. But I still think it's a really cool bracelet and I really like it. All right, next up we have this bracelet. I absolutely love this bracelet. I think it is super cool. I've been eyeing this pattern for a very long time and I've been wanting to make it for forever, but I never had the chance. I never really got around to it, I don't know why. But this month it was actually the challenge of the month in my Patreon group. As you may know, I have a Patreon and we have a group chat with all of my patrons, and every month we run a challenge of the month where we all make a bracelet together. And this was this month's pattern, and I thought that was the perfect excuse to make it, as I've really been wanting to make it for a while. And I was really excited to make it. It was actually quite simple to make and I definitely had a blast. I didn't really deviate from the colors that much. This is pretty much the colors that were in the pattern originally, but I think it looks amazing. And I also added crimps here and here because I didn't know how to start it. The squares go in a straight straight line, so I decided just to start it horizontally as with that one, and that's what I did. I also couldn't decide whether I should do gold or silver ones, so I asked on my Instagram story and you guys definitely said silver, so I went with silver. Alright, last but not least, we have this bracelet. Doesn't this look super cool? I absolutely love it. Now you may be wondering what string this is. This is an Untitled Forever Melange string, but I hate to say it, they don't produce it anymore. And that sucks because it's beautiful. It's a rainbow string that goes all the way from red to pink, and it's great, it's gorgeous. I don't know why they stopped producing it, honestly, I hate it. But I managed to get it as a gift from Sophia on Instagram, who happened to have a little bit of the string lying around, and she graciously gifted me a little bit of it. So I feel very lucky to have had the chance to use it, and I wanted to use it straight away. I have this sort of tendency when someone gives me gifts, especially when it's something that I really like and I can make something out of, I sort of hoard it and I don't use it, whether that be like string or stickers or, you know, whatever. I tend to not use it, I tend to just keep it. But then what's the point, you know? Someone gives you something you can make something out of or use in some way. This string was meant to be used, and it felt bad to just like put it away and sort of keep it for the perfect bracelet where I knew this bracelet would never come. So I decided to take a tiny bracelet, which I don't usually make. I don't usually make bracelets this thin, but I decided to try this tiny bracelet and use a little bit of that rainbow string. Still have some left over, but I'm very happy with how this turned out. I really like making bracelets with multicolored string because it's very interesting to see how all the colors are going to line up. Someone actually asked me on Instagram, I think, and the question was, how do I get my multicolored strings to line up so well in bracelets? It's random. There's no trick to it. It happens to line up the way that it lines up. And I always find that really interesting and fascinating. Whenever I'm making a bracelet, like you make one iteration of the design, that doesn't tell you anything. You don't know what the design is going to look like at the end because you don't know how the other ones are going to line up. So it's sort of an adventure as you're going through it. And I really like multicolored strings because of that. As I said, I didn't make that many bracelets this month. I only have 4 physically to show you here. I did make more than that, but still. I am, however, working on some bracelets. I just haven't finished them yet, so I'm not showing you. So we'll see what February's wrap-up is going to bring. Alright, so now let's talk about the challenge of the month. Before I head into February's challenge, let's talk about January's challenge. So many of you guys participated. I saw so many cool pictures on Instagram, and I had such a great time scrolling through all of them. I know I say this every time, but it's true. It's definitely one of my favorite pastimes when I don't have anything to do. I just go on the hashtag and I scroll through and I look at what you guys are creating, and I love it every single time. There are so many beautiful bracelets. It feels really amazing to be able to just like all gather around and do something together. I find it really interesting how different people put different spins on it with different colors or with different ways to take pictures, or the way that they start, the way they finish, the way they do their ties, loops, whatever. I think it's really, really amazing that we are all part of this sort of community together. So thank you very much for joining me on January's challenge, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will join me in February's challenge as well. So for February's challenge, since February is the month in which Valentine's Day occurred, I thought I would do something Valentine's related. Also, this month was the first time that I asked you guys to contribute to the pattern of the month. I actually created a forum post on Bracelet Book where you guys could enter pattern numbers for me to choose from for this month's challenge. And you guys submitted plenty. Wow, there was a lot. So thank you guys so much. These are the patterns that I chose from that forum post. So this is the normal pattern of the month, and this is the alpha pattern of the month. Both of those patterns, as with everything else, is linked in the description where you can check them out and make them for yourself. Now, if you don't know how to join this challenge, the rules are very simple. You just have to make the bracelet based on the pattern. You can change the colors, you can do whatever starts finish you like. Then you need to take a picture of your finished bracelet, post it to Instagram, and use the hashtag Masha knots, and so do I. I'd prefer it also if you tagged me in the photo to make it easier for me to find, and that's it. It's just a challenge. There is nothing to win. This is just something we do for fun. And I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. If you want to submit a pattern for the March challenge, I do have another forum topic that I created specifically for that, and that will also be linked in the description along with everything else. Before I go, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons, and especially to my top supporters, who are Simon, Izzy, Gretchen, Lara, and Anna. Thank you guys so much for your support, and thank you to all of my other patrons as well. It is with my patrons' help that I'm able to run this channel, and they help a lot. If you also want to become a patron, there is a link in the description where you can sign up and get exclusive perks for your donations, such as joining us in the Patreon only challenge of the month, but also a bunch of other perks. As I said, the link is in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I post videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I will see you next time. Bye!